Hello and welcome to Soul Spa University, where where your souls can run free and your mind is free to expand. Today we have dream expert on with us, Lisa Bowie, and we're going to get into other side communication in dreams. Yes, so dream segment, guys. Pretty ironic considering I've had no dreams lately because I can't sleep. Due to my neighbors. Anyway, so in the meantime, please don't forget to like and subscribe to support my content, as well as be the first to share with others. It would be amazing for the content. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to dive right in with dream expert Lisa Bowie. Lisa, long time no see.
Yeah, it's been like 10 minutes.
So Lisa, actually, we're going to get into other side communication this interview, but since we're on the topic, I'm curious because this we didn't have time to get to in another interview. What about people that don't sleep?
People that don't sleep end up going crazy, right?
Oh,
I think we need dreams. Like that's a form of torture, I believe, in some areas, is to deprive people of sleep. So, and you will start dreaming while you're awake. So,
right.
Yeah, there you have it. You can't escape dreaming at all.
Like as if my life wasn't packed enough.
Yeah, I would really try to get some sleep. Yeah, I know it's hard.
Now, how much sleep do we need minimum to not go crazy?
I don't know, 6 hours or less. I mean, I've watched things like documentaries where they're like, they deprive people in boot camp, like Navy boot camp, and they only get a couple hours of sleep or 45 minutes, and they start to lose their minds, but they don't die. So what's your goal? Is your goal to not die or to not lose your mind?
I'd rather not lose my mind.
You probably need a couple hours at least.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of death. It's everything in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of death either. It's life that terrifies me.
Pretty much what we're going through on the daily. Which is why I literally listen to NDEs as I, eat my green beans every day and have a beautiful view of both sides of the funeral home where the bodies go in and the people, I'm always up to date on the latest funeral where.
You live by a funeral home?
Oh yes. I'm in the end unit of a building, and that whole end unit is facing a funeral home. Like this, like the corner. So I see the bodies go in and the line waiting to see the bodies, Do
you get ghosts? Do you ever get ghosts?
I only put awareness into what I want, or at least that's my goal in life. Yeah. So I'm more of the angels type.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have an apartment that I swear was haunted because my landlord, who lived in the unit right next door, drove a hearse. And his job was to pick up the bodies and take them to the funeral home, like right after they died. So, and we had a lot of weird stuff going on, but this was way before I understood boundaries. Like psychic boundaries.
These ghosts, because if they could help me sleep, that'd be great,
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so we're going to get into other side communication in dreams. So I'm just going to start small, like from the beginning, and I can't wait to hear each thing that you're going to tell me. Okay. So, okay. I don't know if you know this. Both my parents passed before I was 11 separately. And before my mom passed, as I look at the clock, it is 8:24. So any version of 4:28 is my mom and dad actually saying, "Hey."
Aw, well, weird. Speak of I would say speak of the devil. It's a really bad phrase right now, but speak of your beloved parents at 8:24. That's awesome.
Yeah. Really. So, wow.
What was that?
I don't know. So, sometimes I look back in the videos and you'll see some weird stuff in the background. But in the meantime, before this time, and I was 11, what's interesting is, so my mom, my dad had a colon cancer and I was 6. My mom, when she passed, it was very sudden brain aneurysm. So not predictable, nobody knew. But before she had that, it was like a month to 3 before it, I literally dreamed of her passing, which I never had before. So that is really interesting. So that's one of the things I want to bring up right now is precognitive dreams and what your take is or what your thing is on that.
Yeah. So you want me now to tell you?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. Precognitive dreams. Okay. Precognitive dreams are the type of dream that seems to really wake people up, because when you dream of the future and then something comes across like it, someone who's been a non-real dreamer, like someone who doesn't pay attention to their dreams will start really paying attention when they dream of the future. So they're very special and they can really like bring people into the whole dream work world. Just one simple dream that's precognitive. It doesn't have to be such a huge one. Like someone actually died. I dreamt about it before. But like my one of my friends dreamt that she saw a photo on Instagram, or she dreamed about this beach glass. She dreamed about beach glass. And then she saw a photo on Instagram, the same exact dream that she'd had, same exact beach glass, same exact background, everything. She's like, oh my God, I dreamed this. I dreamed this before it happened. I was like, yeah, like to me, it's nothing. You're like, yeah, you did. Like start paying attention. Your dreams are like showing you stuff. It's really cool. And sometimes in your case, unfortunately, it sounds like it could have been some sort of a warning, or maybe just to prep you, try to prepare you that this is going to happen. You know, sometimes they try to give us a little bit of, I always like to look at dreams as they're always positive. They're always on your side. So if you're dreaming about something negative or having even a nightmare, it's probably trying to help you work through something. So in your case, this precognitive dream might have just been trying to give you a fair warning, like this is about to happen. So unfortunately, and there's ways that you can tell, like there are ways that you can identify whether a dream is precognitive or not, if it's a dream of the future. And one of those ways is to like, you should do this with every dream. This is like kind of like the reality check step that we skipped because I forgot in the other video, where, and you want to look at your dream and look at what's going on around you. Like what season is it? What are you wearing? Who are you with? Do you recognize these people? Do you recognize the buildings? What time period is it? Is this something that's happening in the past, or is this somewhere you don't recognize? And to start to like break it down that way. And people have avoided, I have a personal dream about this, where people have like avoided car accidents and avoided terrible things happening because they had a precognitive dream of the future. Mm-hmm. So you really do want to pay attention. They're usually big dreams with big feelings attached to them.
Well, precognitive dreams, right? There's always something emotional, right?
Yeah, they tend to be very emotional. Yeah, because they're trying to get your attention. So.
Okay, yeah, because that's what we're going to get to now. Okay, so God, I have things relating to that I want to ask you, but I guess I'm going to stay on the current agenda, and then we'll get to the other things all about what we missed in the other ones, possibly after. Okay. So interesting. Okay, so also, I wonder if this relates. Again, my mom's death was very unexpected, and the day of, okay, my sister and I were tuned in, and we didn't realize it. So my sister's last words to her were, so my sister had a headache that day, and my mom passed of a sudden brain aneurysm. So basically my sister, as she was getting dropped off at her school, was like, I'm so like basically pretending, but jokingly, but mad at my mom for sending her to school with a headache. So she was like, I'm going to die of a brain aneurysm today, and slammed the door. That was her last words to my mother, who died of a brain aneurysm that day, you know? So what's interesting is the way me and my sister's name is Erica were brought up is, unless you're losing a limb, don't go to the nurse. You know, mm-hmm. My mom, dad had jobs that they were like, you do not interrupt us. And yeah, like we had like sitters that I consider my family, but basically, unless we're not going for a paper cut, you know what I'm saying? Like you better be losing limbs if you're going to the nurse. Well, her and I both went to the nurse that day for headaches. We would never go for a headache.
Wow. Yeah, it's like you're very tied in.
Yeah. And I remember that's when I started to sense something. I sensed something. I went to the nurse for a headache. And then like the nurse couldn't get in touch with my mom. But the way she was, So everything was like sparkly. I knew something was weird. And now looking back, I'm going to tell you the whole experience. And now looking back, I think what happened. Basically, I was like, everybody's being really nice. You just tune into things that you wouldn't normally tune into. My teacher was being really nice. The person that picked me up, who's a sitter to me, who is very my family to me. Before we left the lot, the school lot, she always picked me up from school every day. And my friend too, she also babysat for her. And her son was in the car, was like a brother to me. And my friend's little brother was in the car. I could not stop crying before we left the lot. And I'm not a crier as a kid either. I was bawling my eyes out. And she had to pull over. She's like, what's wrong? And I was like, something's wrong. And I couldn't stop crying. I was like, something's really like the cry where you can't stop losing your breath. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, something's wrong. And I was like, something's wrong. And I don't know what it is, but something's wrong, And she just kind of tried to talk me out of it. And I had to sort of keep going with life. Well, yeah, later that day, so basically, even when her then fiance picked me up, which was her boss, a whole other story. He was the head dean of Cornell. She was the assistant head dean. I was like, where is she? And he was like, we'll talk about that when we get home. See, and I couldn't stop crying because, and then I got to the door. My sister was weird. Like normally my sister's, this teenage grumpy kind of like, I'm better than everybody else at the time was her. And all of a sudden she's like, I don't want to say artificially happy, but something was up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like she sent something too. So yeah. I guess what I'm tapping into is possibly ESP and where this taps into everything. In terms of dreams or other realms or.
To me, I mean, it's all connected. To me, it's all connected in the spiritual realm, for lack of a better term, like that the dream world is in, that it's all in. So if you're especially in tune to that stuff, and how old were you when this happened?
11.
I mean, you sound like you've been in tune your whole life. And then again, now, but kids are especially, still in tune to all of that. It's like a well of information. And it's like this, I kind of relate this to the dreams that I told you about in the last video, where I'm in the chair and I'm living every life. And you're from this place of the central location of everything. It's like you can see it all from there. And I feel like we can all tap into that, where everything's already happened. Everything's about to happen. Everything happens at the same time. So there's this, like you can tap into that. What's going to happen because it already happened, because it's all happening now. I think it all relates to time in a way. And then being able to tap into that. And some people do it naturally. Like you sound like you just do it naturally. You were taken aback by it, So some people try really hard to have that happen and it never does. So
what's interesting, so this leads me to my next thing. So wait till you hear this because it's all tying in. So this actually happened a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And basically, I went to sleep. It was a Friday night. Went to sleep. Because back then my neighbors weren't so bad.
Oh, when you could sleep.
Oh, those days.
How nice.
Those days when I was sane. And I was 70.
Yeah.
So I went to sleep. I woke up crying, couldn't catch my breath. I remember, so my bed in real life, right next to it, between my bed and the window, I was in the dream on the floor, sobbing, losing it, into the arms of who was the closest thing to a dad to me since my dad passed. So you remember that Italian family that kind of raised me, right? Like, he passed a few years ago. I called him Big Bob for the sake of the story, because his name was Big Bob to me. And and I just remember waking up, just crying in the dream. I was just sobbing everything into his arms with these rosary beads in my hand, and he was holding me. So it felt good that Big Bob was holding me, right? And I was just releasing all of this to him, right? And then, but I woke up crying, right? So I wake up, it's a Saturday. Me and my boyfriend of a year and a half, okay, almost like fiance, okay, like got the ring kind of thing, okay, break up. I find myself, without realizing it till later, that same exact spot of my room on the floor, crying, hysterically sobbing, clutching my rosary beads and praying for dear life, for, just like, help me, angels help me, blah, 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 you know? And it's so weird because I didn't connect it until later. It's not just like I had a dream and I was crying and then I'm crying in the same spot. It's I had a dream and I was crying into Big Bob's arms. Now I'm in the same spot with the rosary beads. Now I'm starting to think, oh, he's holding me then. And that dream happened to show me they're with me more than I realize. You know?
Yeah. So when that happened the second time, did you remember, is that how you remembered the first time, or did you already remember?
I woke up the first time. So it was literally the same day. I woke up Saturday, crying, and I remembered the dream when I woke up. And I remember talking to his wife that day, who was like a mom to me, Linda. And she's like, oh, how you doing? I was like, oh, I dreamt the Big Bob. I didn't really tell her the details because I don't want to make her upset, And I completely forgot about it and went about my life. I had no idea this breakup was going to happen. And it was when I found myself in the same spot, crying and with the rosary beads and just losing myself, probably for like the third time that day, that I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? And I'm like, maybe he's here holding me right now. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a very like cyclical moment. Like that seems very meaningful. That it was the same place. Like I always talk about time, but I don't talk about space, that much. But I do think about it a lot, about how so many things have happened in this space that I'm sitting in right now. For all of eternity. There's probably a dinosaur walking by here at one point, and then all this other stuff happened, and like geological time happened, and now I'm sitting here, and then in a little while, like aliens will be here, like whatever. Like space also has weird things, like space and like portals and different locations have meaning too. It's not always just about time.
It's
so that is very interesting. Like we're in Big Bob was his name.
Yeah.
In Big Bob's world, like he could have just been sitting there the whole time, like where he is. He's just like, I'm just still sitting here. It's a moment for him, but for you, it's a whole day, like maybe anytime you go there, maybe he'd be there, because for him, time's not fast, where he is.
And it's so interesting you put that because you put that, I feel comfortable telling you that I ended up going back to so my mom suddenly collapsed at Cornell Medical College in New York City, where she was the head dean, on the stairs. I wanted to visit that exact place. I think it was 11 years later or something. I came back from Florida, and I went on the same day that she passed. And I think at the same time. And I had her fiance years ago, daughter let me in. And I, I was there by myself. And it was interesting that you said that, because I think I sensed something. I think I was like, let me be at the same exact place that she collapsed, on the same day, at the same time. Almost like I was, and I wrote poems about this, but almost like I was like hoping for some sort of glitch and seeing her. I don't know. But that's interesting that you brought that up, because
there is something very comforting about it. I think it might just be something intuitive that we feel as a species, as humans. Because people go to crash sites and leave flowers, like where it happened, I feel like that just we feel closer to them where it happened. And there might be something behind that. Maybe they are there in some way, maybe they're tied to that place too.
Yeah, I love this. Yes. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so speaking of my mom, so now we're getting into OtherSide people that are past in dreams. So I'll have dreams of her. A lot of times I'll unfortunately wake up crying again, because what happens is I feel her, I'm with her, and then something in the dream has me remember, oh wait, she's not alive or something. So your time with her is limited. And as soon as I start to realize that, she starts to disappear, and I'll wake up crying, And so I guess it's like, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I know it's very possible to dream of your departed loved ones. I dream of mine a lot. And you can even ask to, you can ask your dreams anything. It's called dream incubation. And you basically just set an intention before you go to bed, if you can sleep, if you're able to sleep. And ask, you can say like, I just really want to see my mom. Like I need to ask her a question, or I just really want to see her, and wait for your dreams to give that to you. It might take a few nights. It might not happen right away. A lot of times it happens instantly, but your dreams listen. She's listening, you know, like the veil is thin, especially for you. Like, I feel like you could ask to see these people if you want to, and they'll come. So here's an interesting story. So this gives me proof. This is my, well, other than the Annie story, which is also proof that Annie, my departed friend, told me where she's buried. This is one that involves my grandma, and it's called popcorn flowers. So when my grandma was alive, she used to give me roses. Like she grew these beautiful roses on the side of her house. And every time I go over there, she'd cut some roses and give them to me. And so I dreamed a few years ago that I was at her house and she gave me popcorn flowers. And they were flowers that popped open overnight. And she had a whole bunch that popped open the night before. So she cut them and gave them to me. And she called them popcorn flowers. And my grandma loved popcorn. Like she would eat popcorn just for dinner because she loved it so much. So flowers, popcorn, it all made sense, you know, that my grandma would do this in a dream. I'm like, oh, that was neat. I'm thinking it's more of a symbolic dream, you know, at the time. And then the next day, I'm out at a plant nursery with my sister-in-law. And on this there's one table with nothing at all on it except for one plant that I've never seen in my life. And I'm like, what's that plant on this huge table all by itself? And I'd already told her about this dream. So she knows about my crazy dream I just had about my grandma. And we walk over and it's called a popcorn plant. It has flowers that look like popcorn on it.
Oh my God.
And the little label for the plant, you know, they have like little stickers sticking out.
Yeah.
Had popcorn on it. Had like one of those red and white striped popcorn containers on it. We both lost it.
Oh my God. Oh, that's
oh my God.
Such a clear sign.
Yeah, it was a sign. It was a sign to me that was a real dream. That was a real visit.
Yeah.
My grandma is still around. You know, and I have a lot of connections with her, more so now even.
Yes.
Through the dream world than I did when she was alive. Like we talked and I knew her, but I feel like we have an even stronger connection now where things that I dream about come, you know, like she's always around. I know she's always around. The popcorn flowers thing, something with this plant. There's another thing with the plant here. She loved plants too.
Yeah.
And like she passed away on Christmas Day. I don't remember what year. It's been a long time. And on Christmas Day, a few years ago, I noticed on this plant behind me, the hanging plant, that the pot has an angel on it. I'd never seen it. I had that plant for like 10 years. I brought it from my old job, my old office. I've moved it. I water it every week. I've never seen it's etched in there. I don't think it was there before. I do not think it was there before.
I mean, they're so synchronistic.
Yes. I'm like, that's her, that's grandma. Like that's her telling me, you know,
that's amazing. So now my question is, when we dream of them, do you think it's really them?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, second question about that. Sometimes they're a little too real. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when I dream of Big Bob, he like still has dementia. And I'm like, Big Bob, get it together.
Maybe he's still like tied really strongly to this world, you know, like
sometimes it's just him holding me. Sometimes, a lot of times, more my communication with them is not in dreams. It's like I'll assign each one a song, and it'll play, and the song will be so much more dimensional than it ever was before. It'll have 11 multidimensional, deep meanings that it never had.
Isn't that wild?
And it'll come more and more each time you hear it. It'll be pivotal at the point of your life that you realize, oh, they're telling me this. You know, it's amazing how synchronistic they are. You with that plant that you found out now. It's always like they'll drop a dot that is, like we said, like a flower that has multiple, and over time you'll see more and more.
Yeah, and smells too. Sometimes I smell my grandma, and that sounds really weird.
No, that's cool.
But you know how they have smell, or maybe it was some sort of perfume she wore, or rose, the smell of roses. But sometimes, and it's weird and random at the most random weird places.
I love
it. It'll be in the middle of the night and I'm sleeping and there's no way. I don't have anything that smells like her, anything. And it's like, okay, she's here. I smell her. She's here for some reason. Right. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh,
But the song,
go
go ahead. I was just gonna say the song thing that you're talking about, that is that's like chiromancy. So chiromancy is what we call the playing games with the universe. It's like the language of signs and synchronicities. It's chiromancy, and it's a term Robert Moss, I know who that is because I met you during one of his talks on YouTube. He wrote a book called Sidewalk Oracles. Yeah, Sidewalk Oracles. And it has all these different games you can play with the universe in it. And he coined this term chiromancy that kind of covers all of them. And listening to music and just getting meanings from songs is one of the things you should read. You should read that book if you haven't, because I feel like you'd really love it.
Yes. Oh my God. I love every time you mention him because he sounds so fascinating and you're so fascinating. And I just love this. So, okay. So I want to relate what we just spoke about with something you spoke about in an earlier interview. And guys, check out me and Lisa's earlier interviews because that'll clear up what she's talking about in terms of her friend Annie and also what I'm about to relate to now. So she mentioned in an earlier interview how one of her deceased, people that she has dreamt of has grounded something in real life. It was actually her friend Annie. So you should check that whole story out. Well, guess what? Once I dreamt of my mom and it was something about the internet. And she was like, it was in my old apartment and she was next to me while I was on the computer and she was showing me where to go and how to get money. Well, the next day I remembered this and I start looking up her name and long story short, I end up going to like unclaimed funds and getting like $200 or $400 or something from her unclaimed funds that I forgot about.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, like it literally came out of the blue. And yeah, I think one time my dad did it too. Like I feel like my dad, and he's more rare, but I've been trying to get more in contact with him lately. Because I just need some support. And but one time I remember it was something about him helping me in some way. And the next day it came to me like, oh, like I really needed money. And he used to have these really old fashioned swords. And I found one in my aunt's house and was like, hey, it's my dad's. I have it. And then like I sold it for money. It was like $700.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy how they could really help in real life.
Yeah, they really do. They can tell you like that's how you know it's them. When you come out of that with like the sword that you dreamed about or the money, that like exact number of dollars, there's like people have so many stories like this too. And that, I mean, to me, that verifies it. That's how you know it's real.
Yeah. And actually, so I also want to ask you about that. So what about when you dream of someone and then the next day they text you? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if you dreamt of someone you haven't talked to? And like, this happened to me where I dreamt of someone very vividly that I haven't spoken to in like 7 years, just because life,
Yeah.
And I'll wake up and they like texted me like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes into like, that starts getting, I feel like getting into like the law of attraction kind of, where like you're on the same vibe, like you're on the same wavelength. And you can subconsciously put that stuff out there too. Like I've thought of someone, and you could be thinking about it because they're thinking of you too. Like you could be, because you're a little bit psychic, picking up on it, and the reason you thought of it was because they were about to call you. Or it could be going both ways. It could be going the other way, where they called you because you're thinking of them. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a kind of thing that just, it's always happened, right, to all of us. And it's almost like one of those unheard of senses that we use, like a psychic sense we all use of that it kind of goes into the precognition basket for me. And the telepathic, also very telepathic. Like, I think as humans, we don't use our whole brain. Well, we do probably use more than we think we do, right? And there's a whole section of our brain where we could be tapping into other people, what other people are thinking and what they're about to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like, so when you dream of people that you know in your dreams, does that mean anything?
When I dream of people I know, sometimes, I mean, sometimes it could mean something. It could mean, okay, so sometimes you got to think about it different ways when you're trying to figure out what your dream means. So if you're having like an issue with someone and you're dreaming of them, it could actually be about that issue that you're having with them. But if it's someone random, like my high school friend from art class in 7th grade or whatever grade you're in high school, like that I haven't thought of in forever. They show up in my dream and like, what the heck? That could be a couple things. Something like that random could be that someone like that is about to come into your life. Like you could be dreaming about the qualities that person had that's in someone you just met or someone you're about to meet. So it could be that someone just like that is about to like show up or did just show up, and they remind you subconsciously of this rando that you haven't thought about in forever and for some reason you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
Or it could be that you're picking up on their characteristics that are like of theirs that are part of you. So you'd want to think about it that way too. Like, could it be this random person I'm dreaming about has characteristics that are coming up in me, something that I don't like or something that I do like? Like there could be lots of things going on when you're dreaming about people that you know.
Yeah.
It could be their characteristics. It could be that they remind you of someone that you just met, or it could be actually about them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Once, like, the first time I met someone, I don't want to say it's rare I have a soul connection, but back then with a guy it was, and he was one of the rare ones. Like I met him, I felt a soul connection. I ignored it because I was like, what is that? And I went to sleep and we had a whole world together and these dreams that were extremely vivid. And I'm like, this is nuts. And I woke up and he was texting me and I was like, I can't help but wonder, is maybe that connection's real and in another reality
it could be,
Yeah,
it could go into that realm then, where we dream of parallel lives or things that are happening and actually playing out somewhere.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that could be happening.
Yeah. Okay. Now, can you dream of others before you met them?
Yeah, that goes. Well, I kind of just said that. So when you start dreaming of randos from middle school, it really could be that someone's about to show up in your life that's a lot like that person.
What can you dream of an exact person? Like, remember that time you had a whole other life?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, could you dream of a whole person you never met here?
I haven't, but yeah, you can for sure. I mean, I know of stories where other people have, and that falls under precognitive dreams. You can, for sure. You could dream of a whole experience that hasn't happened yet with all the same people, all the same things. This is why you got to watch. This is why you have to do the reality check, because it's not always positive. Like if you're dreaming of, a certain person shows up and then something terrible happens, you want to do a reality check and make sure that could never actually play out in real life. And if you're ever in real life and start to see those things start to play out, beware, because your dream was warning you of it.
Yeah, but can you really help it?
You can sometimes, yeah. You can avoid things. So I had a dream, I kind of hinted on it in one of the other videos, where I died. Like I had a dream I was in a car accident with my brother and I died. And I was in the back seat. He was driving and I was in the back seat of the truck with my dogs. And it was like slow motion. We were sitting on a highway. And in hindsight, it's a place I know very well that I drive by all the time. And a truck sideswept us and threw us into the woods. And in the dream, I left my body and I died. Like I literally died. I popped out of my body and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dead. What now? And then I went on this wild adventure in this very like Bardo zone that was very confusing and very like half, like in between world. And it was fun, but it was very terrifying because I'm like, I'm dead. Like, how do I get out of here? How do I get back? Like, I was so confused. I was a soul with no purpose. It's like, not no purpose, but I was like, I knew I just died. I couldn't figure out how to get back. And it was really confusing.
Floater,
I was like,
yeah. Okay.
So that dream shook me up because I was like, that was realistic. I did the reality check and I was emotional when I woke up. My heart was beating really fast. I was like, oh my God, I just died in a car crash, So I did the reality check and I'm like, okay, it was fall, but the leaves were still green and it was a construction zone on a highway right around a curve. And then I'm driving around the next few days. I'm like, I know from Robert's classes, I need to be careful when I'm driving because I could die in a car crash. I could have dreamt this, like this could have been a precognitive thing. And that is a spot that just started getting road construction. And I almost died there one day. I almost got smashed by a truck in that exact spot because they changed the traffic patterns. And had I not been on the like high alert every time I drive there now. I could have easily have just been not paying attention to that they changed these lanes so they merge now and got smashed by two semis on either side. It could have happened.
Oh my.
So you do need to watch. Dreams do warn you, and you can change it. You can change things
by just not leaving your house.
Yeah, or just being aware. It depends on the situation.
Aware to not leave your house.
Being aware of like, oh my God, it usually comes through as deja vu. Like, oh my God, I dreamed this. And it was bad. We need to get out of here now, and just that simple thought can avert it.
Yeah. So, okay. I was about to ask about deja vu, but we're going to wrap it up for now. And you guys find us on the next video for the deja vu. So don't forget to look for Lisa on the Dream Worker Coach.
Yep, Dream Work Coach.
The Dream Work Coach on YouTube. I feel like I know her so well. I'm just really bad with work because I haven't slept in 2 months. So this is a good record for someone can still be sane somehow. And if you guys would like to donate to my channel, there's a link in the description box. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share so I can keep putting out this content for you. And if you guys would like to be on the show or a session with me, link also in the description box. But guys, you have to tune in for next time because me and Lisa are just getting started. We're going to cover deja vu. We're going to cover recurring dreams. We're going to be covering multi-dimensional, amazing family relationships. And we are having the best sleepover ever.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you guys. Until next time, keep living the dream. Bye.